And rolling.
Part 1, Mr. Carey's final review. Okay? This is exactly as the test is. Please don't make any noises. Be absolutely quiet. The first part is just converting decimals into fractions and fractions into decimal. Okay? If you're recording, you have to hold absolutely still. If you want to pull that chair over, you can. 1/8 of an inch in decimal. Here's the trick for doing it in decimal. I always say that 1/4 of an inch you should know because it's 25 cents. Okay? 1/2 of an inch you probably know is 50 cents, and 3/4 is 75 cents. So every 1/8 of an inch is 125,000. So it goes 1/8 is 125, 2/8, which is the same as a quarter, is 25 or 0.25, 3/8, 0.375, 4/8, same as 50 cents or 1/2 of a dollar. 5/8, add another 125 to it, 625. 6/8 is the same as 3/4, so that is 0.75. 7/8 is 0.875. 8/8 is 1, and then for extra credit, if you can get 1/16 of an inch, remember you can always just divide on your calculator, which most of your phones have. Divide 1 by 16. 1 divided by 16 is 0.0625. If you notice, that's 625 10,000ths, or it's 1/2 of an eighth. 0.125, half of 0.125. Think of this as like 12.5 cents. This is 6 1/4 cents. Okay, so 1/4 is 25 cents. An eighth, which is half of that's like 12.5 cents, and a 16th, which is half of an eighth, is like 6 1/4. 6 1/4 cents. More measuring. What are the base units for the metric system? King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. Kilo, hecta, deca. B is for base unit, which can be meter, liter, or gram. D, deci, like a decimal. C, centi, like a century or a centipede. And then M is milli. Okay, so 2 ways to remember it. King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk, where the B means base unit, or King Henry died Monday drinking chocolate milk, where the M is for meter. What are the base units for the standard system? There's basically 2 types of wrenches, the standard system, the SAE, or the metric. When you work on something, you use standard, which are these fractions up here, or you use metric. The base units for the standard system and the prefixes for them, and the 2 types of screwdrivers, you probably know that one already. It's Phillips and regular. The standard units, ounces, pounds, tons, 16 ounces in a pound, 2,000 pounds in a ton. IFYM, inches, feet, yards, and miles. Of course, you know, there's this many decimals in an inch, right up here. Then there's 12 inches in a foot, 3 feet in a yard, 1,760 yards in a mile, or 5,280 feet, would just be 1,760 times 3. OCPQG, ounces, cups, pints, quarts, gallons. Okay? 8 ounces in a cup, 2 cups in a pint, 2 pints in a quart, 4 quarts in a gallon. And if you want to even break down ounces more, you can break it down to 3 teaspoons in a tablespoon, 3 tablespoons in an ounce, okay? And then ounce, cups, pints, quarts, gallons. It's 8 ounces in a cup, 2 cups in a pint, 2 pints in a quart, 4 quarts in a gallon. It's 8,224. How is air pressure measured? PSI, pounds per square inch. Which way do you turn the top of a bolt to tighten it and loosen it? You have to remember it's the top that you turn to the right. So righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. You probably already know that one. The 2 classifications of woods. Softwoods and hardwoods, or conifers and deciduous, or coniferous and deciduous. Coniferous or conifer are the same thing. They just mean cone bearing. Is a 2x4 really 2x4? Why or why not? No, a 2x4 is not really 2x4. It is 1.5 by 3.5. Most of the boards shrink about 1/2 of an inch. The exception is the smaller wood that is only like 1 inch thick. It only shrinks 1/4 of an inch, and then they plane it down to where they make it 3/4 in the end. And the larger boards shrink 3/4 of an inch, like 8, 10, and 12. Okay. What are the main two types of hand saws? A rip saw that cuts with the grain, and a cross-cut saw that cuts across the grain. How's sandpaper labeled? Grit. The higher the number, the smoother the sandpaper. Okay. I don't know what happened there.
I don't know what
Higher
happened
the
either.
number, smoother the sandpaper. The smaller number, the rougher the sandpaper. Joe, can you not hold that still? That's why I said if you prop it on something. Name 3 safety rules that apply to most machines. Eye protection. Unplug before making adjustments. Keep your fingers away from the cutting path, drilling path, or the sanding path. Remember, the machine is intended to change the shape of the wood, which means it can change the shape of your fingers. What is a three-dimensional drawing called? A pictorial. Explain Wright brothers' contribution to flight and the 4 forces of flight, the 3 axes of control. Okay, the Wright brothers' contribution was wing warping, which really, when you have pitch, roll, and yaw, that is the roll, okay, where one wing goes up, one goes down. That's what gave the plane the final bit of control. They basically added wing warping and they added a motor. Okay, that was the Wright brothers' contribution. The 4 forces of flight, LGDT, lift, gravity, drag, and thrust. Explain Bernoulli's principle. Bernoulli's principle, the faster air moves, the less pressure it has. Explain Newton's third law. Okay, now let me back up to Bernoulli's principle. There's a picture of it in this flight book on page 8. If you want to look at that and write it down, take notes. Really good stuff to know. The air going over the top of the wing is moving faster, so it has less pressure. The air on the bottom is moving slower, so it has more pressure, pushes up on the bottom of the wing. Okay? Explain Newton's third law. That pertains to a jet engine. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Okay? Put a bunch of fuel in a cylinder, light it on fire with a spark plug, it's going to blow up. It's going to create thrust at the front of the motor by the exhaust exiting out the back that will thrust you forward. Okay. Is that the end of part 1? Why'd you stop recording, Joe?
Huh?
Or do you just have it?
Oh.